Hello, everyone. It's me, Ari Dosset, Kwame Rashid. I'm your anthropologist and sociologist. Thank you for being here. Please hit the like button, share this live stream, subscribe to the channel, become a member of the channel. Again, you can check my novels on Amazon. There's only some of them. And you can donate in links below. Thank you very much. All right. How are you all doing today? Well, it's morning now for me here in the Netherlands. I'm in The Hague. But how are you all doing today? Let me know in the live chat. Let me see. I hope you can all hear me clearly. Mm-hmm. All right. I have a question for y'all. Working 40 hours a week, 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week, the full time, 9 to 5. When did it become mandatory worldwide? Does any of you know that? No. Let me tell you. Working 8 hours a day was something that was suggested in the 1860s in the United States for government workers. Because people around the beginning of the 19th century worked around 80 till 100 hours a week, which was way too much, and they didn't earn much. 80 to 100 hours a week. Wow. So in 1926, Henry Ford, car manufacturer, he introduced the 40-hour work week, the 9 to 5, as a norm for his business, and even said if you come and work 9 to 5, I even pay you double for what any car worker would earn. And that was 1926. That is 99 years ago. And in 1940, it was made into a US law, the 40-hour work week. And after that, the rest of the world followed. And because a lot of people considered it stable, just held on to it. But here's the issue. It's shown over time that working so long for 40 hours is not good for the overall population. It is profitable for the government because they can regulate where people are. It's something that profits the corporations because uh, they can utilize the people's labor, and all the people spend the same cash on them again. But is it good for the overall population? No, it's not. So why are we still having the 9 to 5, working 40 hours a week? Why are we still preaching and teaching it? Let me tell you why. Credentialism. Now, credentialism is a term that was in. Okay, let me just share my screen with you. Hold on. Hold on. Credentialism. Belief in or reliance on academic or other formal qualification as the best measure of a person's intelligence or ability to do a particular job. Okay, let's go over here. Credentialism. Although emphasis on credentials, such as college degrees, as prerequisites to employment. It The first known use of the term was in 1967. So credentialism is a new term, but it doesn't mean that the behavior did not exist before that. This is what you need to understand. Just because we give a type of behavior a certain name now, doesn't mean that before that name was invented, that the behavior did not exist. Credentialism means that people overemphasize um, qualifications by society. It's really what it comes down to. But that attitude existed way before 1967. And the people who can tell you the history of the 9 to 5, how it came into being. Well, it was actually um, um, popularized by Henry Ford. Henry Ford was one of the only reasons why it actually became popular. He's one actually he actually introduced it into his business, and he was the one that made it a standard. But anyway, about that credentialism, there are many things written about credentialism. Okay, you have, well, for example, right over here, the curse of credentialism. Here you have the case against credentialism. This is an old, this is from the 1980s, by the way. And here, here you have another article saying we don't value education, value the credential. So, yeah, so as you can see, a lot has been said already about credentialism. A lot has been written about it also. So, what did this come down to? Now, I'm going to share something else with you right now. In the 1970s, there was this guy, Stanley Milgram, who did a psychology test. As you can see, people wrote about it. So the reference over here, I'm just going to summarize it in my own words now. And it comes down to this. This guy, Stanley Milgram, he did an experiment in which he connected people to an electric wire in one room, and then in another room, there was a button. And anytime you would press on the button, electric shock would be given to the other individual in the other room. Now, this was a setup, but the thing is, the participants in the room with the button, they thought it was real. Okay? So the participants were told to give doses of electric shocks, and they could hear other individuals scream or whatever. Now, long story short, only few participants said, hold on a minute, this goes too far. Most people that participated in the test, even when they doubted or they realized this is questionable, or is this even allowed? If this go too far, they still complied because an authority figure told them to give the shocks. Now, a lot has been written and said about the Milgram experiment. Now, I'm not a psychologist, I'm an anthropologist, and I'm a sociologist. As a sociologist, I look at group dynamics in society. As an anthropologist, I look at the root philosophy of how nations and cultures function. You don't have societies exist in a context of a culture. And that's what I research as an anthropologist. Now, as an anthropologist, let me tell you one thing that they don't say about the Milgram experiment. And that is that it's a universal common thing in the human species to operate like this. I know this is not a fun thing to say, but I'm just going to say it. Okay. It comes down to this. Human beings in this fallen state, because you need to understand the spirituality of human beings also. Human beings in this fallen state, they, due to lack of self-worth, They seek confirmation in people with leverage. So people in the world have the tendency, both as individuals and groups, to look up to someone or people with leverage because they think that people with leverage can actually mean something for them. And apart from that, if someone has leverage and they're upset, the possibility of misusing leverage is there, and if they misuse the leverage, will suffer other people. And because human history is filled with examples of people misusing the leverage, turning it into violence, and because society itself operates through violence, misuse of leverage, people in the world have the tendency in them to look up to people with leverage who've been certified by society. What does it mean to be certified by society? It simply means the masses agree with your position. If you parked your car the wrong way, almost hindering traffic, and some people come and tell you, "Yo, you need to remove your car. You're blocking traffic over here, or you're hindering traffic." You may tend to say, "Mind your own business. Leave me alone. I'll be back soon. Whatever." But if a police officer comes wearing a badge and asks you, "Sir or ma'am, why you park this way?" you behave totally different. Why? Because you know that police officer, he or she is a human being just like you, but they fulfill a role as a police officer. They wear a badge and they have a whole team behind them willing to back them up. And that team is tolerated or even approved by the community to use violence. And because you don't want them to even consider using violence on you, and you have to deal with the harm, you think, when you see the police officer, automatically you tend to credit trust or onto them. If someone knocks someone out with a fist, and it happened in a public space, you would say, "Man, arrest this guy." Well, this thing is, if it happens at the guy's house, you may think, okay, maybe an individual is his private property. So because there's this entitlement, because of this societal arrangement called private property, because private property doesn't actually exist in reality. It's an arrangement we make on how to allocate physical resources, all of this. So because something happens, someone conquered private property, now we think, well, he has a leverage over there. So we assume because they have a leverage, they have a right to mistreat people over there. Well, guess what? If you kill someone in your own house or on your farm, the police will still come and arrest you and put you in prison. Just because the community arranged that that's your farm doesn't mean you're entitled to whatever you want with it from. You're not God. Okay, some people think like that. Especially here, people in the United States often talk. They think that private property means you're God over there. No, you're not God. You're a human being like everyone else. You ought to behave towards everyone else with the leverage you have. Because the leverage only exists because the people get along with you having the leverage. Go to any space, any forest, and claim a plot of land. Say, "This is my property." See what happens. It's only quote unquote yours because there's a government backing it up through the police and the public agrees with you having it. A lot of people don't want to consider that. But okay, what it comes down to is that human beings in the world, they have the fear-based tendency not to question authority. Authority simply means anyone who is verified or certified to have a leverage. Now, if a Mexican drug cartel enters a town somewhere in Mexico, or if the Mexican drug cartel enters into a town in the United States, bossing around, nobody's going to put up with it because they mean you're just a bunch of drug dealers and criminals. Get out of here. But if it's Homeland Security or some Mexican police corps entering in, bossing around, people behave differently. they get along with it, they even comply with it. Why? Because in their mind, those are authority. Now, an authority can be people with an established leverage, but it can also be someone who's an expert in something. I mean, I don't know much about cars. I do not. I know about the history of cars and the anthropological background of cars, how people perceive cars through luxury brands, all of that. But the mechanism of cars, I don't know. You go to a car mechanic with years or decades of experience, he's an authority when it comes to cars because he has experience in it. So you can be an authority based on your expertise, certified or not, or you can be an authority because the public co-signs you having a leverage, whether you're a police officer or a mayor or a politician. You get what I'm saying here. So, human beings in the world, we have the tendency to just believe whatever an authority figure says without even looking into the situation. Now, don't get me wrong. If you're a car mechanic and you have experience with cars, of course, when you talk about cars, I pay attention to what you're saying because it's your field. If you are a medical doctor and you talk about biological health, of course, I'll pay attention to what you're saying because you're a biological doctor. But if you're a biological doctor, talk about cars. Unless you're also a biological doctor with experience with cars, I may have to look into what you're saying about cars because that's not your field. I understand that, okay? But just one thing: if someone's a car mechanic and have experience with cars, does that automatically mean you should trust that individual? Question for you: I want you all to answer this. If someone's a car mechanic with experience with cars, yes, they're qualified to discuss the topic of cars, absolutely. But does it mean you should trust them? Let me know in the live chat. Let me know. What do you think? Nope, absolutely not. Now, you can quote unquote trust their expertise when it comes to cars. They can fix cars, all of that. But them, as you've been trusting them, you need to know what you're dealing with. Maybe the car mechanic is a quality human being that's loyal to his family, to his spouse, or to her family, her spouse, because you also have female car mechanics, and the car mechanics, it's actually a decent human being that's contributing. That can be the case. But it can also be that the car mechanic is a horrible human being who may even be a narcissist or a sociopath or whatever. Or there may be someone who is so damaged that they can be used by evil spirits. So even if they're not evil or bad people, if they're damaged and they're not recovered, evil spirits can use them. So you still need to check, what am I dealing with? And this what is with credentialism. Credentialism comes down to us checking whether they are accepted by society or not. A lot of believers don't want to admit this, but a lot of believers, they check whether or not society accepts you before they enroll with you. Now, this goes against the Bible, even goes against common sense. It's even not even a smart thing to do. But this is how it goes with a lot of believers. If they see you being a pastor who graduated a school of theology and you have a church building and you are yeah and you have a lot of members in your church, they automatically assume you're a man of God, you're blessed. Hold on a minute. What if someone is a Freemason or someone is part of another some type of fraternity and they open their own cult, start their own cult, calling it the church? Then yes, they do have the certificates as theologian. They do have the building and do have a lot of members. So it's safe to go there? No, because it's a cult. Again, there's nothing wrong with theologians having degrees, all of that. And it's not what I'm talking about. I'm saying is a lot of believers, they look at whether or not society support something before they roll with it. Why? I'm not addressing everyone involved, I'm only addressing believers now because of fear. Why? Because if society or the masses, better said, get along with something, that means if you get along with it, the masses will leave you alone. But if the masses don't get involved with something, if those interface, simply means that the people don't want this to exist. So if you get involved when people don't want to exist, people may get upset with you and make life hard on you. And because a lot of believers don't walk in the power of God, they don't have any leverage to overrule human violence in daily life. And because they have no leverage to overrule human violence, they end up conceding to the violent demands of the public. That's really what it comes down to. I mean, during the global health crisis of 2020, I don't have to talk much about that because it was clear that during the global health crisis of 2020, a lot of believers were exposed to not have any faith and do not have any trust in Heavenly Father. Many believers who claim to be bold just conceded to a lot of the pressure of the group amongst them. Don't let me go into details because you know the community guidelines of YouTube. When you say certain things, it can trigger the algorithm and all that. But the global health crisis 2020, which lasted till somewhere 2023, it exposed a lot of people, including a lot of believers. People complied with health measures that even, I'm not talking about, there were health measures implemented by local governments that even health experts were questioning whether it is proper or not. But guess what? Because it was the government who has the backup of the police that can arrest you, put you in prison, people just believed what the government said. Even when there were experts saying this is not really the best thing to do. Or as a matter of fact, even went so far that some social media platforms began to deplatform or censor or ban some of these experts because the experts said something that went against what the government said. I mean, let's think about it. I I have no knowledge of cars that much. I already said it. Should I be appointed as a manager of an auto body shop where it's all about fixing cars? Hell no. Because I don't know if let's say a work comes to me, sir, we have an issue here with fixing this car. Can I help them? No. I should not be appointed nor take a job as a manager at an auto body shop because I have no knowledge of cars. What if an auto body shop appoints a manager who has no knowledge of cars? Then anyone's going to go down a minute. Is this auto body shop a genuine business or is this a front for criminality? Because you can't have an auto body shop where it's all about fixing cars and you appoint a manager who has no knowledge of cars. What the heck are you doing? Well, there is this country out there who appointed a health minister who had no background in the medical field whatsoever during the global health crisis of 2020, the years afterwards, when the crisis was still ongoing. They appointed a guy during global health crisis who had no background in the medical field whatsoever and had to make medical decisions over the public. You can look it up for yourself which country it is, what I'm talking about. I mean, I was thinking to myself, what? Yo, I can't even get a job at a hospital dealing with patients if I don't have a medical background and I'm certified and screened properly. And now you have a guy with no medical background becoming the head of the medical field in a country. What? And people, I thought to myself, is this really happening? Really, are millions of adults with a brain to think, millions of adults even who went to school, are hundreds of thousands of professionals with the degrees from universities. Are people saying allowing this to happen? Yes, they did. I'm telling you, because of the potential of being harmed by violence when people with leverage are upset, or maybe because people around you want to escape, and you call things out, makes them comfortable, and they may lash out against you with physical violence because of the threat of being harmed or killed. A lot of us human beings, we just cave in to when someone certified by society, so someone who's approved by the masses, opens their mouth. That's how Nazi Germany happened. That's how the transatlantic slave trade happened, which lasted for a while. That's how Jim Crow happened. That's how apartheid South Africa happened. All the long-term scandals that happened throughout human history and are still ongoing today, and it will also happen in the future, is because of this. People don't want to admit this doesn't add up. Because once they admit it doesn't add up, then you have to acknowledge that, okay, they're part of what doesn't add up. Why are they still part of it? Why aren't they doing something about it? Or why aren't they walking away? So a lot of people just go into toxic denial, acting like they don't see it doesn't add up, acting like the same thing with the Gaza genocide right now. If there was an Arab nation, well, it was a country was considered an Arab nation. The term Arab means the wander in the desert. So even that is a term that is a bit, well, politically sensitive. But anyway, what if you had a bunch of Europeans being slaughtered by a military from an Arab nation, a country is considered an Arab nation, or in Asia, or whatever. You think it would have taken very long for people to intervene? Oh, but now that you have a country that's associated with which a lot with a lot of European migrants moving there, and a lot of people there are from European descent. So you have quote unquote what they call white people bombing an area with a lot of quote unquote people of color, were considered Arabians. For some reason, it's very hard for people to call it what it is, a genocide, to call it, to say we need to stop this. That same mentality a lot of people had during Nazi Germany, all those other places. So people will used to say, man, if I was alive during Nazi Germany, I would have stood up against this. I wouldn't have put up with it. Well, guess what? Similar things are happening right now, and those people are silent, nowhere to be found. So if they were alive back then, they would have complied with Nazi Germany to the T. Absolutely. It's fear-based societal compliance. People do not want to admit that there are people out there who are just out of their mind and just, let me tell you this. People often want to accept that there are people on earth that simply do not add up. You have people on the earth who are simply so self-destructive, it'll drag everyone with self-destruction. You have people like that. Some of them even be people close to you. But here's the thing. A lot of people were taught by society through their parents and the people that raised them not to question quote unquote authority figures, people with established leverage over you. And this begins with your parents. The Bible says to honor your mother and father to have a long life on the earth. But here's the issue. You cannot honor someone who's not honorable. If I tell you to decorate the Christmas tree, there should be a Christmas tree there for you to decorate. I can't tell decorate a Christmas tree, but there's no Christmas tree over there. If I tell you to decorate a Christmas tree, but there's no Christmas tree over there, guess what? You can't do what I said. It's you can't execute it because there's no Christmas tree over there. Simple as that. Well, if someone is not honorable, can you honor them? No. But in the world, you have this cheap counterfeit called respect. Respect simply means give in to someone's demands or someone's expectation. And there's a root of violence in it because that means if you don't give in to it, automatically you're disrespectful and your quality, and they have a right to take action against you. When someone points a gun to your face, they have the ability to kill you or cause you bodily harm. So of course you give in to what they want because of your safety. If a group of people expects things from you that doesn't add up, they as a group, they're more than you. Even if they don't have any weapons, they can make life hard on you. Either by attacking you physically, by lynching you, or by just ignoring you like you don't matter. So respect simply is rooted in you giving in what people want, whether they are right or not, just to get along. That's what respect means. But here's the problem. Anyone can will what they will. You just give in to whatever they want. So if you have a child molester, just wanting to have their way with the children and not be bothered, are you going to respect it, give in to what they will at the expense of the children? Hell no, you're not doing that. If um, someone uh, is upset and just want to scream at you, throw objects at you to relieve themselves and walk away, are you going to let them abuse you like that because they don't want to be bothered, just want to will what they will? No. Thing is, respect has nothing to do with quality, honor, good behavior, no safety. When someone is honorable means it is proven that they are a safe and trustworthy human being to be around. And because of that, you submit to their influence. So honor someone means giving in to their influence because they're safe and trustworthy. That's what honor means. Respect means people have a will, they want something, and because you don't want to cause trouble, you have to give in to what they want. That's all respect is. Nowhere in the Bible are we told to respect our parents. Society tells you respect your parents. You know why? Because here's the thing. If you follow what the Heavenly Father told us, you'd be examining your parents. Now, a child cannot examine their parents. Absolutely not. A child can only run away if the parents get out of hand. But while you're growing up, and with adulthood, you're able to begin to examine your parents. And you should examine your parents, seeing what it is you're dealing with. If they're quality people who did all they could for you, guess what? You can honor them as far as it's reasonable to do so. If their people were damaged and evil spirits can use them, then you have to withhold some honor because they're not safe to honor. If they are horrible human beings heading to the lake of fire, reprobate, no honor. You need to check what is you're dealing with. And if you find out that they're either damaged or they were lacking some areas, or they were neglected themselves, or they were simply wasteful, guess what? That means you've been damaged by them, and the people around you didn't intervene. Because if they were toxic and the people around you not intervene on your behalf, when you were a child, that means they were in on it too. So not only so they were an extension of the community you grew up in. So that means the community damaged you. And then you need to admit, okay, I can't undo the past. I need to admit that I've been damaged, that I've been done dirty, and now I need to look for help, improve, go therapy, counsel whatever I can to move on with life. That's what you do as a grown individual. You can't do it as a child, but you can do it as a grown individual. And it begins with seeing your parents for what they are. But do you know this is not encouraged by the world or what we call society? Because once you check your parents for what they are, you are now developed a character, or you will check whoever it is you encounter. And you realize, hold on a minute, these employers, quote unquote landlords, why are they so demanding? Like they don't have to care about us. Why is the prime minister act this way? Why is the president this way? Oh, why are the police officers that way? Why do you have to say your honor in a courthouse? Why is the courthouse so fear-based? I mean, once you examine your parents, you're going to examine everyone you encounter. And you're going to realize, well, a lot of these people, you guys don't add up. And because people in the world don't want to be confronted with themselves because they don't want to be called out and challenged. People don't want children to develop an attitude of challenging them. People want children to be respectful, so they want them to be docile, giving in to societal demands. So when they're grown folks themselves, they never call things out and challenge things. That's what it comes down to. Have you noticed that the children who have to often call things out are often called, oh, you have a big mouth, you need to learn to respect, blah, 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 or they get punished, even at school or by their parents? And other children see this, and because they become afraid, because they don't want harm to happen to them, they become so respectful, give in to what the adults want. Well, that's the root of credentialism, fear-based societal compliance. When a child calls something out, doesn't add up, the adult should listen and pay attention and do something about it. Not turn on the child for calling something out that they as adults should have dealt with already. If a child calls out something and it shows that the adults are on failed, then the adults need to admit, okay, we failed. Let's improve. No. Instead in the role, they turn on the child to make life hard on the child because the child doesn't validate their feelings and their leverage. No child owes any adult any validation whatsoever. Children should comply with adults who are trustworthy, but they don't owe any validation, so no emotional pain with any adult. Human beings should not seek emotional pain from one another to begin with, as already explained, especially not from children. But it happens in the world. And it's only when the emotional payment turns into a sexual violent way that we arrest people and call them pedophiles, whatever. Nevertheless, in the world, that's what happens. The, a lot of adults demand emotional payment from children. And it sounds very retarded and very horrible, but that's what happens. And people call it all types of names. It is what it is. I just called out what it is, y'all. And why do people seek emotional payment? Because they don't serve them with Father. And therefore, the self-worth is confirmed. When you serve them with Father, your self-worth is confirmed. And with the peace you have with your self-worth confirmed, now you relate to other people. But because a lot of people in the world don't have this, they seek emotional payment. I made a whole video about this. You can check it out. It's a bit of a long video, I believe. Well, I upload several videos last day, so check them out. Now, what I'm saying is that in life, you need to learn to check what are these people? What am I dealing with? Yes, if they are a police officer or a judge or a medical doctor, car mechanic, their role in life and their diplomas and certifications do matter. I mean, I would not recommend you, if you have a health issue, going to some conspiracy theorists instead of going to an actual medical doctor who actually has knowledge. Okay? I wouldn't recommend that. Go to the medical doctor, don't go to conspiracy theorists, please. If you have an issue with your car, go to someone who has knowledge of cars, please, not someone who thinks they know something about cars. So I'm not saying that someone's credentials don't matter at all. They do, but they only matter when it comes to the function they fulfill. When it comes to actually dealing with people as human beings, we do check what are they. But too often in the world, people only look at the credentials. And because the credentials are verified by an institution or by the masses, because a lot of people are okay with it, we roll with it. That's a fear-based attitude. And that simply means that, one, you're afraid because you know that there are people out there, likely people around you, have asked towards you, that would be willing and would even go so far to actually cause you bodily or mental harm if you don't make it easy on the masses. You know that. So you're in denial of this danger. Secondly, you're not part of the bad situation because you don't admit nor acknowledge the bad situation and you don't do anything about it. And the only thing you can do about it is you should walk in the power of the Heavenly Father. Why? Because you cannot change these other human beings. You can't make them all better people. You can't do that. And you can't go out there by your own strength, which you don't even have, to defend yourself all the time. So you need the power of the Heavenly Father, following His guidance for you to be safe here on earth amongst all these wolves in sheep's clothing. Is this clear to you all? Let me know in the live chat. And let me tell you one thing. This tendency that we call credentialism does only relate to the job market, about getting a job. It's in all areas of life. There are people there are people who are members of political parties. And we ask them, why are you supporting this political party? They can't explain why. They say, well, most of my family supports this political party. Okay, but so just because your family, the most of them support this political party, doesn't mean you should do it too. What does a political party provide for you and your family that's so good then? Is a political party even worthwhile to support? They don't know. The only thing they know is if they don't support a political party, they will be at odds with their relatives, and that's going to lead to difficulty. Now, people who go against what their family members want, they often join a cult or a movement that validates them. Oh, you can just live your life however you want. You can will whatever you will. You don't have to contribute to your community. It's your life. You only live once. They join a group that can back them up. eh, But then because they rely on the other group, now they're submitted to the blackmail and violence of the other group too. This is how it goes in society. The only people on the earth who actually have true autonomy are those who actually do the will of the Heavenly Father, because they can get power from the Heavenly Father to even have real autonomy on the earth. All other human beings are stuck in patterns. All human beings out there are stuck in patterns or or sometimes destructive cycles unless they're fully serving the Heavenly Father. Simple as that. They can switch from one parent to another. So you may grow up in a conservative household, now you're fully liberal, or you may grow up in a liberal household, now you're fully conservative. You can switch patterns, but you're still in a pattern. The only ones with true autonomy to actually relate well to what goes on in daily life and to respond effectively are those worshiping the Heavenly Father. Simple as that. So don't expect a worldling. Don't expect a worldling to be all about justice and righteousness. A lot of worlds don't even know what justice means. They think justice is going to a courthouse and getting a verification by someone wearing a suit as a judge. That's what they think justice is. They don't realize justice means people need to comply with solutions, whether they like it or not. Because actual justice is something that these courthouses cannot deliver. Now, they can give you organized revenge. That's what they can do. They can give you some vindication emotionally, but they cannot deliver justice. Only the Heavenly Father can enforce justice. Now, we can participate in God's enforcement as believers. Nevertheless, it's not us bringing justice, it's the Heavenly Father doing it. So, anyone seeking for actual real justice outside the Heavenly Father, they're not looking for justice. They think they're looking for justice, just want revenge or some validation but from some authority figure. That's what they want. Rashid, what if there's a killer on the loose? People want to catch him. They just want to deal with the bad situation. That's it. But what if they catch the killer and they sentence the killer or they give the killer the death penalty? Those people are still dead. The damage already done. And the thing is, it likely happened because it's neglect in the community. Now we can't change back time. We can't undo the people. We can't undo the killings. But what we can do is bring awareness so people change and improve. So such things don't happen anymore. That's justice. But it's just, can we guarantee justice? No, we cannot. Only Heavenly Father can. And sometimes Heavenly Father does in such a way that people who don't want to comply end up destroying themselves. And that can be a painful process to see, but that's justice. Sometimes justice also implies taking your losses and move on. If your father left your inheritance, a piece of land, and some of your siblings don't want you to have the piece of land, they argue with you all the time, and you go to a courthouse and get vindicated and they have to give you the plot of land, well, guess what? You've won. But what if now a lot of people in the what if a lot of people now in the community who actually side with your uh, wicked siblings are now turning on you because you winning the court case means that all the people that supported your wicked siblings also look bad now. Now, did you tell them support your wicked siblings against you? No. They should have checked your siblings where they were right or not for supporting them. But they just supported your siblings against you without doing the investigation. But that's their fault. And now you've won and they look bad. That's not your fault either. But guess what? The consequence is they look bad because they supported your siblings without checking whether your siblings were correct or not. And now you got vindication from the courthouse. Okay. Now you have a lot of these people who look bad who are not your relatives getting angry with you. Because they look bad and have to deal with this mental breakdown, they're going to blame you for it. So now you have all this psychic violence haunting you, and now you even have people developing deep hate towards you, want to take you out. So yes, you won the court case, but now for the rest of your life that you live there on the plot of land, now you have to deal with a lot of violence against you. Now you have to call the police over and over again because people try to attack you or harm you, or what if people don't actually attack you anymore? You're a farmer now, but they boycott you because the people that live there, they have a leverage over the supermarkets and everyone around there, and they now are boycotting you. So you're a farmer, you produce a lot of crops, but you cannot sell them. So you go bankrupt as a farmer. Why? Because people around there don't like you. Why don't like you? Why? Because their parents or grandparents looked bad where you won that court case against your siblings because their parents and grandparents support your siblings unfairly. And now when you won the court case, they look bad. So because the parents and grandparents look bad, they as descendants look bad too, and now they're upset with you too about it. So you have to look at the whole situation. So in this case, is it the best for you to win that court case? What are you, well, knowing that it may lead to all these harmful consequences haunting you? Is it even worthwhile to win a court case? What do you think? Let me know in the live chat. What do you think? So you win this court case against your siblings who don't share the inheritance with you. And you win the court case leads to the supporters of your wicked siblings looking bad. And because they look bad, they have mental breakdowns, they blame you. And now, for generations to come, their children and grandchildren will also have issues against you. Because those children and grandchildren want to own up that their parents or grandparents were out of their mind. So now you have a whole iniquity that developed against you. It's going to haunt you over there. So is that plot of land even worth going through all of that for you and your family? No, it's not. So in this case, it can be justice that then tells you know what, let it go, move on, move on. They don't want to give you inheritance. You get better. I can arrange it for you. That can be justice too. But we think no, this is mine. My father left it for me too. They don't want to give it to me. By they breaking the law, I need to fight for it. We think that's justice. Okay, what it is vindication. You win, but is the winning worth it? Not always. If you have to fight for something that's good and you pray about it and God's okay with it, then you fight for something that's good. But sometimes, not always, sometimes it's just you just move on. Shake us off your feet and move on. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes you need to press on in the faith and overcome. But also times then for tells you what, let it go. Just move on from this. This is not the word, this is not the word to winning. Again, that's not always the case. Me, 10 years ago, well, despite all the tribulation I went through, in the faith I kept persisting, eventually I broke through and guess where see where I am right now. So there are times you have to press on. But if when you press on, you have to do it on the guidance of the Heavenly Father. So nothing can be used against you. So before you check whether or not something's worth the effort, pray about it. Pray about it and let the Heavenly Father either send people your way to help you out to see the situation better, or let the Heavenly Father reveal to you what's the best thing for you to do. Justice does not is not the same as winning at all costs. Because winning at all costs is actually losing in the long run. Winning at all costs is losing in the long run. And a lot of people think winning at all costs is what justice is all about. There are a lot of movies out there that they make promoting this message. There, there are so-called self-help gurus out there who promote this message. Winning at all costs is lose in the long run. And of the losing is going to be much bigger than the winning you had short term. So we need to have discernment. Are there any questions about this topic? Please let me know in the live chat, please. Please let me know. Look, even though it's understandable that people in the world who don't have the power of God have this fear-based societal compliance, it's still not a good situation. It's still something we can't condone nor approve. They have to become born again and serve the Heavenly Father. Simple as that. Okay. No further questions here. Well, thank you all for being here. Keep agreeing with Christ. Hit the like button, share this live stream, subscribe to the channel, become a member channel, check my novels on Amazon. Don't the links below. I'll see you next time. Shalom.